Michaela Blyde, Minnie, welcome to my podcast.
Oh, thank you. I'm kind of nervous.
Are you? It's such an honour for me to have you here. I'm a big fan.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I feel like it's an honour being in your presence. Like I was saying to you outside before, I grew up listening to you, and you just kind of think of radio people being radio people, and you don't picture them as like a human. They're just a voice behind a microphone, and you take a while to put like face to voice, and then as social media came out, you put face to voice, and now I'm actually meeting you. I'm like, cool, weird.
Can I start by reading out the email? That you...
Absolutely, go for it.
Okay,
yeah.
so I sent you an email maybe back in June asking you to come on the podcast.
Yeah.
And you replied, "Hello, Dominic Harvey. I've been waiting for you. He. Abso-bloody-lutely, I'll be on your podcast. I loved your chat with Lisa Carrington and Zach Guilford when you were runners only, and always love your short snippets on Instagram with your Dom Harvey podcast page. So fuck yes, I'll be on your podcast. I'll even make your job easy and tell you what I'd love to chat about."
Wow, the confidence of the girl. I'm so sorry.
Rugby, body image, selfishness of training as a high-performance athlete, constant pressure of representing your country, maybe even wedding prep, because that's always a cute topic to chat about to break up the sport. Oh, and my children's book. I'm pumped. Get me on there. Talk soon. Michaela Blyde, Black Ferns 7. And
I talk like I play rugby, like intense.
I thought about this after I read it, and it's the most enthusiastic reply I've ever had from anyone. And
Thanks.
I was humbled by it. And I thought you're either like you are a massive fan of the podcast, or B, this is just representative of you as a person, and everything you do at like a gold medal standard.
100%.
With, like full enthusiasm.
Yeah, and I think that just comes from the environment that I've been a part of since I was 16. Our Black Ferns environment has evolved over time. I was in there when I was a high school girl and I was quiet, like I barely said boo. But as I've kind of grown to know who I am as a person and the amount of people that I've met, and that's the thing that I think people think that we take for granted, like the amount of different people that we meet is amazing. And so when I get any opportunity to meet people who have an influence on either social media or on the world or whatever, I'm going to be my authentic self and show who I am as a person as well. But the confidence has definitely grown over time. It hasn't. It's not something that just popped out just like that. It's taken a while to, I guess, accept who I am as a person. And so when I saw your email, I had to be myself. I was like, yes, get me on there. Yeah.
No, but that was the takeaway for me. It's like, your time is so precious. You spend so much of the year out of the country. Like you've done 50 tournaments or something since you've been playing.
Yeah.
So if you're going to say yes to something, make it an enthusiastic yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And not only that, but make the most of the opportunities that you get given, because this job that I have is not forever. You can't play rugby forever, but you can always give back to rugby as much as you can. And I guess my way of giving back is by talking about us, by talking about the stories, talking about my story. And your podcast was definitely an opportunity for me to be able to one, meet you, because I listened to you for so long as a kid, but also to tell my story and just use this platform to get people to know who I am as a human being. A lot of people know me as a Black Ferns Sevens player. They know me as Minnie, but they don't know me as Michaela Blyde. And so this is a great opportunity for me to express who I am as a human being outside of being a Black Ferns Sevens player.
Oh, I love that, and I'm so excited about this. There is so much to talk about. And I can see why you're excited to meet me. It's because of this, isn't it? It's my Paris medal.
Oh, stop it! Give me that. Oh my God!
I went to Paris in April and ran the marathon. It's a gold medal. To be fair, 55,000 other people got the same medal on the same day.
No, but you know what? I'm jealous because this ribbon is far more comfortable than this ribbon. Like, this is just nails and bolts. That's all right. They've been chipped either way. And this is silky. Oh, feel that on your neck. That is just lovely and divine.
Oh, you're being very kind. Jeez, this is I got goosebumps just putting this on. This is really special, eh?
It is very cool. And then when you put both of them on,
Flex.
and then it's even more special. Yeah. Look at that. Now you can do like neck exercises. There you go. Just go like that in there. and it just strengthens your neck up big time.
They're in good nick, aren't they? You take quite a bit of pride in them.
The Paris ribbon's already been operated on with that piece of material sticking out.
Oh, yeah.
She ripped, so I had to get my nana to sew that back together. There's a few chips on the Tokyo one. She's been shared around a little bit. But yeah, they are very special.
You just arrived today and you just had them in your handbag.
Yeah.
You don't have them in the did this one come in a Louis Vuitton box?
It does. She hasn't been in the box yet. I'm going to keep wearing this, by the way. It's very divine on my neck. She hasn't been in the box yet, but my Tokyo one sits in... This is not mine. This is my partner's medal. Oh my God. I've just realised. It says rowing men's 8 on it. Oh my God.
Oh, it does too. Yeah, your partner who you're getting married to
fiance,
next year, Michael
Brake. That's his medal, actually. I was looking at it before. I was like, she's been chipped a few more times than I remember.
By the way, how many couples can say that? Oh, I grabbed the wrong gold medal.
Yeah, we're a very overachieving couple. God, that's funny. The last few days we've been going to like his nana's house and all that, and so we've had all three of them together just chilling, and so I I didn't even think, okay, well there we go, Michael's medal's been in the Dom Harvey podcast room.
Yeah, how good. Okay, so some of your achievements. We've established 2 Olympic gold medals, Commonwealth Games gold and bronze, gold and silver at the Sevens Rugby World Cups, World Rugby Sevens Player of the Year 27 and 28, 2017-2018, first person to go back to back. Tracked running at 31 kilometres an hour.
It's even faster now.
Shit, is it?
Yeah,
faster
I've
than
hit
that?
35 a couple times now.
Yeah, and a really good sprinter as a kid.
Yeah.
You're a similar age to Zoe Hobbs. Did you ever go against Zoe Hobbs at like Colgate Games?
Yeah, so funny story so I'm a couple years older than Zoe. So we didn't really race against each other with age group athletics. So we did Colgate Games for years. But I always remember watching Zoe from the moment that she stepped on the track, and she would just carve everyone up. She won by 10, 15 metres every time. Whereas I was sort of like top 3, top 5 most Colgate Games. But the story behind Zoe and I've only raced against her maybe 3 times, and it would have been post Colgate Games. And the last time I raced against her was in 2011, and it was 100 metres, and she beat me by, I'm going to say 3-4 metres, and so I dropped my lip and quit straight away. I was like, great, cool, that's my cue to go. So if it wasn't for Zoe beating me in that race, I may have not have moved on to Rugby Sevens. But yeah, she's an extraordinary athlete, and of course she's from Taranaki. Taranaki athletes are extraordinary people. So yeah, I've grown up absolutely admiring her. She's done an incredible job to put sprinting back on the map for New Zealand.
Oh yeah, she's a savage.
Absolutely,
she's incredible. But as you are.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about the Paris Olympics for a bit, and then we'll move into other stuff. We'll go deep on the Michaela Blyde story.
Let's do it.
First of all, what happened with your eye? That's a mean scar.
Yeah. Where's my camera? Where do I look? That way. Yeah. So this gorgeous little thing here, my new Harry Potter scar. It was game 2 against Canada, and I went to clean out Charity Williams, and instead of, I guess, going under her chest, I skimmed the top of her head, and it just completely split my forehead. And initially I was like, crap, like you feel a sting. I knew straight away that I'd split my head, but in the moment we were on defence, so I couldn't stop. Ball was in play, so I couldn't just randomly walk off the field. Kept playing and kind of went like this and had blood all over my hands. I was like, cool, this is a stitch. So Jazzy then scored, which was great. And so that's when I hopped off. But yeah, I got 7 stitches. And that's why I had a white plaster over my forehead for the rest of the tournament, because I had to protect the stitches. So yeah, it was a great Olympic campaign. But yeah, I mean, I love it. It makes me look tough.
It does. You look badass. I was going to ask about that from like a female perspective, because you know it's a tough sport you do, but also you are quite a girly girl.
Definitely,
given the time and place. I was watching the UFC yesterday. Do you watch the UFC?
I used to watch Ronda Rousey quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't watch the fight yesterday. No.
Yeah.
No.
So Dan, the Hangman Hooker, he ended up winning his fight, but in between the 4th round and the 5th round, there was blood everywhere, like cut on his cheek, cut on his eye.
Yeah.
And he was just smiling and laughing.
He said something like, I love
this shit.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that on Instagram. And in all honesty, that's exactly how we feel too. We're just like, yeah, blood, let's go. I look tough. I actually enjoy that sort of stuff, like getting black eyes and all that. I'm not someone that's like, oh, I better protect my face. But it is just part of the job, really. It's sort of the things that we have to put up with when we're on the field, is battle scars and blood and whatnot. So it's all part of the job, really.
And how are you feeling pre-final? Yeah, I suppose. Like, are you real nervous, or is it you go into it with a good feeling, knowing that even if you lose, you still get silver?
I definitely don't go into it thinking, oh, we're going to get a medal no matter what. A little bit nervous, but I think I was only nervous because it's just an Olympic gold medal final, and no matter who you come up against, there's always going to be those jitters at an Olympic Games in front of 70,000 people with my fiance and family in the crowd. Like, I wanted to perform for them so badly. But also the Paris Olympics, when I think back to my initial dream as a 5-year-old to go to the Olympic Games and win gold, at the time it was for athletics, I envisioned that dream being in front of thousands of people, singing the national anthem, doing the haka or whatever it was. And so this moment was the moment that I've been dreaming of for so long. Tokyo was obviously amazing, and it was the moment where I first achieved my dream. But it was in front of no one. And to me, I love crowd. I love atmosphere. And I bounce off that energy so much now. Back in the day, definitely not. I would have cried every game because of how nervous I was. But nowadays, I use it as like an energy source. And so jitters, but also good jitters, but also a lot of confidence. Like, we're the type of team who understand our strengths, and we know exactly what we need to do every game to beat other teams. We knew how to beat Canada, but they'd also just beaten Aussie and France, so they had a whole new level of confidence going into this game. But we knew exactly what we needed to do to beat them, and luckily it pulled off in the end.
When did the crying thing stop? Just going back to that, you said you used to like cry with nerves before each game.
Oh, probably when I was 21, 22. From the age of 16 to 20, which was the first Olympic cycle for our squad, I went to Rio as a travelling reserve, but I was definitely mentally no way near prepared to be an Olympian. Like, the pressure of competing in Olympic Games for me personally then would have just been too much. Like, I know for a fact I would have crumbled. Plus, I don't want a silver medal, so that's totally fine too. But yeah, the crying for me, like, the nerves just built up so much for me emotionally that it wasn't like my way of showing that I was upset. It was just my way of releasing what I needed to get rid of what was built up. So, like, some people vomit before competing because they're just that nervous. Well, they have to go to the bathroom. For me, it's crying. And so releasing those tears straight afterwards, I'm like, okay, cool, sweet, I'm good to go. The legs are heavy, the breathing's out of whack or whatever, but it took me probably a solid, I'm going to say at least 8 years easily to solidify a good mental process for me to go through what I needed to do to get me into beast mode when I ran onto the rugby field. But yeah, it took... I still like get emotional before a final because we have our whole management in a room, yay size. We obviously hug and kiss everyone to say, you know, got your back, sis, kind of thing, and thank you. And so we have the whole management, we have our songs that we play on the speaker. And so for me, going out to a final was emotional because we have everyone in the one room and we huddle up and the captain says what they need to say. And then I do the call and then off we go. So it's like a good unity moment for us as well to be like, this is what we're about to play for, is this family right here. So it's emotional.
So much.
Yeah.
I wonder if we take that. No,
I've just blessed it.
You're saying so many like profound things, but I don't want anything to be turned into a clip for Instagram or whatever. With you wearing like a shitty Paris marathon finishes.
Hey, you're about to go compete at the Sydney Marathon, so I'm gonna give you my speed through that, not my endurance. That. You can keep that.
Yeah. So you win the gold medal. And then, you can't celebrate because you get drug tested or immediately. What does that look like?
Immediately, yeah. So
is it a random draw thing?
It is random, yeah. So pretty much everyone in our team got drug tested at some stage over the Olympic campaign in the village. So for me, it was after the final plus 2 others. So we had our medal ceremony. We do, around Southeast fans, etc., see family. And then we obviously go through the mixed zone to do interviews with the media. And as I was going through the mixed zone, I almost didn't go through it because I was like, I've done enough. I just wanted to go back and chill out in our changing room just for 5 minutes. But then as I went through the mixed zone, one of the Paris drug testing officials came up to me and said, can I just get you to confirm your name? And instantly I was like, oh, damn it. I was like, it's Michaela Blyde. And she's like, okay, cool. You've just been notified to get drug tested. And I was like, oh, damn it. And so I was heavily dehydrated, had barely any water after our final, and so I just had to scull back some water. I was at the stadium for an extra couple hours because my other two teammates did partials, and when you do partials, you've obviously got to wait to refill what you've missed.
What does a partial mean?
So when you do a drug test, it depends, but I think it's 90 mils of fluids. If you do less than that, you've got to top it back up again. So you've just got to wait around, drink more water, take more fluids, and then refill what you've missed. So that can take a while because if you're dehydrated and go to the bathroom, it takes ages for your bladder to kick in again. So yeah, we had to wait for those partials to be done, and then we could go to where we needed to go afterwards to celebrate.
Can they not take blood?
Yes, sometimes, but not every time.
Right.
So one of my teammates were blood and urine. I was just urine. So it was just pee in a bottle and away you go. Yeah.
And is it someone watching you? Is
Yep.
it really?
Yep. You got to show them all the bits. They're literally just watching you because, especially for men, it's easier for men. You can, I don't know how you can, but, supposedly you can chuck something there and have something else fill up the cup.
Penis or something.
Yeah, honestly, it's quite interesting what people try and do to get away with it. But yeah, you've got to literally chuck your pants down to your ankles, lift your top up, so pretty much this whole thing is viewable, and then away you go. And you just pee in front of a random.
It's humiliating.
It is a little bit, but when you've done it, oh God, I've been drug tested close to 50 times, easily. And you just get used to it, to be honest. They've seen it all. It's not the first vagina that they've seen, so you just get used to it, really. Yeah, but I remember my first time getting drug tested. I would have been, oh gosh, maybe 17, and yeah, just absolute stage fright, and I took hours and hours to need to go to the bathroom, because you need to, but mentally there's like a blockage. And so you just got to get used to the fact that someone's going to stare at you like this while you pee in a cup. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a shy bladder.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll be busting for a wee and I'll get to the urinal like at an event.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's like, oh, where's my pee now?
Literally. That's literally exactly what it's like when you're getting drug tested. And then as soon as you're finished, you need to pee for the next hour constantly because you just had so much water. So yeah, it's a weird process, but it's just what you got to do when you're a high performance athlete. Yeah.
So you get that done, then you go and join the team. Everyone's on a little buzz by then, I guess.
Massive buzz. Yeah. And I was so tired. And so was my whole family and friends, but they'd been partying for about 3 days straight. So they definitely had a reason to be tired. I also had a reason to be tired. But yeah, we got to about maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock. And the story actually leads up to a really good story with my journaling. And so got to about 2 o'clock and I looked at Michael and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. The girls were on. Some of our girls partied really well, which absolutely fair enough. They're 6 years younger than me, so go for it. And so, yeah, we ended up just going back to Michael's apartment with all his crew. There was my best friend and then the odd couple, like old friends and flat mates that Michael lived with for a bit. So yeah, we just went back to the apartment and we chilled out, and I didn't fall asleep till maybe 7 a.m. Got a bit 45-minute nap, and then away you go the next day. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And why the quick departure? You feel like you guys had the tournament, then next thing you know on Instagram you're on a plane heading home again.
Literally, yep. So the reason behind that was because we were early athletes, and there weren't enough beds for every single athlete in Team New Zealand. And so if you finished competing, you had to leave the village straight away. And so literally within 12 hours, the new athletes were in our apartments. So we had to clean out everything straight away. And then we had our celebration at the NZ house. which would have been on TV for everyone to see, which was great. And yeah, we went off with our family and friends, and we hadn't seen each other since. So half of us went back home to New Zealand, reasons being obviously girls went to league, just needed to get back to family. And so I just wanted to go home and just be in my own presence. So I went home and I was in I pretty much did MIQ again, like Tokyo, but I did it in my own house for 3 days, and I didn't speak to anyone. I didn't see anyone. I literally sat in my lounge and watched the Olympics or watched Netflix or watched House of the Dragon and just chilled out and did nothing and didn't see anyone or show anyone my medal. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, on social media I saw you looked like you're wearing an Udi or something
Yep,
with your
my
gold
Udi.
medal
Yep.
watching the Olympics.
Yep. No, I honestly just did nothing. It was great. I knew that as soon as I started seeing people, it would have just been on the go mentally. And so if I didn't take those few days to myself and actually process what we just did, I would have hated if it to have caught up on me later in my leave or in my leave period. And so I just needed those 3 days just to actually sit there and be like, holy crap, like this last 3 years essentially, but 13 months of knuckling down on it has finally been completed. And that's something that a lot of people don't truly understand, is the little bit of come downs that you get after an Olympic Games. And I don't think I've had the come downs. I've kind of tried to avoid it a little bit, mainly because I've been so occupied with family. And then when Michael came home, we'd been apart for about 4 months, and so just being present with him, schedule it. You should see my notes of committed gigs that I've written in every day from now until the 4th of September. Definitely I've got something on. So I just needed the 2 days just to release and just sit there and be in silence. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and the Olympic come down thing you talk about. I had a girl, one of the former Black Sticks on the podcast called Brooke Neal, and she wrote a post that sort of blew up after her Olympic experience, like an open letter called Dear Olympian.
Yeah.
And it's quite like, because there's a lot of people they would probably go there with high expectations and leave without any sort of like tangible rewards. You still have a post-Olympic come down when you win.
Yeah, and I think it's because of the hype and the atmosphere and the publicity that the Olympic Games gets. You finally achieve your goal of participating in it, and then all of a sudden it's over, and then you go back to normality. And it is a very, very weird feeling. I had it massively after Tokyo, but I think it was because we had spent MIQ 2 weeks by ourselves in a hotel room. Plus there were other aspects around that as well. But the thought of just sitting in a room and watching the closing ceremony after Tokyo, like I got upset. Like I was like it's actually finished. That's it, done. Next thing. And so that's why I purposely didn't watch the closing ceremony, because I didn't want to connect back those feelings again. It's probably quite bad, but I just wanted to avoid those emotions and just be completely present with what I had around me, which was my family, my partner, and just be present with what I've got coming up and what I can look forward to, rather than be sad about something that we actually came away with a gold medal, and be sad about that finishing. Yeah, it's a very weird feeling, and a lot of people would never understand. But yeah, I actually saw, I can't remember the athlete, but I think she's an Australian, on TikTok. And
Reagan.
Yeah, it could have been her. Reagan, bless her soul. And the athlete said pretty much something along the lines of, when you've just achieved your lifelong goal of going to the Olympic Games, and now you're back at the field doing shuttles all over again. And to me, I was like, man, like that's actually the case. There's a lot of athletes do what they need to do at the Olympic Games. They either win silver, bronze or nothing, and then they come back and then they go back to training, or they're on holiday or whatever. It is a very weird switch, going from the highest of highs for any athlete to then coming back to normality. It's a very, very weird feeling, yeah.
Thanks for explaining that.
I don't know how else to explain that, but yeah, it is a bizarre feeling, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's something only like less than 0.0001% of the population will be able to understand or relate to. It's fucking crazy. Well, you talked about in particular the 13 months leading up to it. Like, what did they look like? How intense was it?
So we started our pre-season in July last year. We did it
specifically for the Olympics.
specifically for the Olympics. We had off the top of my head, 3 pre-season tournaments before the World Series kicked off in December last year. We had 8 World Series tournaments and then the Olympic Games. So we were on the go playing rugby from October last year to Olympics, which is a lot of rugby. Obviously, in between that, you got to balance recovery to then coming back up again for a tournament, to then neutralising that and staying here, to then recovery again. Like it's a really long process of a lot of rugby and having to balance recovery to then peaking again. So it is quite a journey and a lot of hard work. And it's also really important to manage each athlete. For someone like Georgia Miller, she could go and go and go. She's a classic 20-year-old with endless energy. But for someone like myself, although I'm still young, I'm only 28, but I have a history of stress-related injuries. I've had 3 stress reactions in my fibs, and so managing that, but also still keeping up with my rugby as much as I can, managing athletes with combinations. So pretty much the whole year for the coaches was essentially, obviously, winning World Series, which we kind of did, if, people don't count it or whatever. But then also finalising your Olympic combination for the Olympic Games. And so we had to switch out players to get the ideal positions for who's playing where, for how long, who's on the bench, who comes off the bench. So it is actually quite a long process for coaches as well to finalise that, I don't want to say perfect, but that ideal 12 to compete at the Olympic Games. And so that was also the reason for such a long year as well.
Fuck, it's a lot of travel as well.
A lot of travel, yeah.
How many weeks a year are you out of the country or on the road?
From December through to May. December is the Dubai Cape Town tournament, so that's our back-to-back, so we're away for a month. And then the rest after that, we're pretty much, depending on if it's a back-to-back tournament or not, if it's a singular tournament, we're away for 12 days, home for 12 days, away for another 12. If it's a back-to-back, we're away for 2.5 weeks, home for a week and a half, back away again for it. So we're in and out of the country quite a few times, but yeah, every month from December through to May, June-ish, we're in a different country. You do definitely get used to it. It's people, I think, like they assume that it's tiring, jet lag, etc., which, yeah, you definitely have to deal with it. But you also get used to having to recover your body as fast as possible when you come home, to sleep as much as possible, to then get back into it 2 days later. But I would rather, and everyone else is the same, I would rather it be like that than it be like how the rowers go away for like 3 months at one time over Europe and do their World Champs and World Cups. Like, I couldn't be away from home for that. A month is too long for me. I'm like, nah, get me home. I love coming home.
Yeah, exactly. From what I can gather, you're quite a homebody. Like you've got your own, you bought your own house at 22, 23. You've got your fiance. You got your dog.
Yeah. And also that's what I grew up with as well. From being a dairy farmer kid. Dairy farmers don't go on holidays. Our holidays were Colgate Games as a family, and that was to Auckland or Hamilton or Wellington. So that was our holiday as a family, and that, mum and dad could get a replacement milker to come and milk the cows for that week. And yeah, so I didn't know any different either. We weren't the family to go to Australia for a holiday for the kids. Like, our holiday was working at home during school holidays, whether it was getting the calves in or milking to get in the shed, to get out of the house.
Haymaking, silage.
Yeah, actual packing the, when we had square bales, chucking them in the shed, cleaning troughs out, like that was our holiday. So I just didn't know any different. So I think that's why I'm such a homebody as well. It's because that was my environment, or that was my culture growing up.
You've chosen a shitty career for a homebody.
I know. So much travel.
But I suppose if you put in the perspective of your lifespan and, realise it's a limited time sort of thing.
Definitely, yeah.
Hey, one more Olympic sort of thing, and then we'll move on. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Oh,
so Jamaican sprinter, one of the goats.
yes.
For anyone who doesn't know who we're talking about, like, who is she?
So she's been my idol since I was 10 years old. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is actually the reason why I wanted to win gold in the 100 and 200 metres at the Olympic Games as my initial Olympic dream. She's shorter than me and she's a pocket rocket. You know, she's called the mummy rocket because she's got a 3-4-year-old boy, and just an absolute legend in her own right. And so meeting her, to be honest, I was honestly just sitting like this in the food hall, eating my dinner. I had Portia here and Gossie there, and Gossie was sitting opposite me, so she didn't see her straight away, but Portia and I both saw her walking this way, and Portia went like this to my quad. She was like, oh my God. And she was like, that's Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. And I was like, and we caught eyes for like half a second, and I was like, and I just like didn't know I forgot how to human. And all of a sudden these tears just came to my eyes. And I was like, I literally just saw Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce and I couldn't help it but get emotional. And she had no idea who I was. I don't even think she looked at me properly, but I think we had an eye contact. And yeah, I just got so emotional. And then the next day she tried looking for me, and she's my Olympic bestie.
Yeah, I'll pause you there. So that was shared on TikTok, the food court thing.
Yeah.
So did she see that, and that's why she went looking for you the next day?
Yep. So
how did she go looking for you?
Like, what had happened was I don't know, I can't remember the guy's name that she was with, a teammate anyway, and they were walking past our building to go to a supermarket that was kind of up above where the Olympic Village was, and Tyler and Stacey saw her, and they were on bikes, and so they biked up to Shelly-Ann and they said hi and stuff, and then Shelly was like, oh, do you guys know who Michaela is? And they were like, yeah, she's my teammate. And I have to show you, Dom, I have to show you. And so I was getting a massage actually during this time, and my phone kept on buzzing, and I was just like, oh, it's one of our things that we have as a team is that if you're getting a massage or treatment, you can't be on your phone. Like, it's just a polite thing it's one of our protocols. And so obviously I didn't grab my phone because I was like, no, that's rude, but it just kept going. And I can't remember my massage guy's name. Let's call him Jack. He was like, oh, you can answer it if you want us. And I was like, yeah, sweet, sorry, bro. And I'm getting a call from Tyler. I was like, what is she calling me for? And this was why.
Oh my God, it's a FaceTime with her.
Oh my God, you're amazing. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Hi.
This sounds so dramatic.
Hi.
Zero chill.
Zero.
Okay. Oh my God. You're interrupting my massage time, but for a good reason. Oh my God, Shelly-Ann, you're amazing. I love you. Oh my God. Hi. Oh. Hi.
I couldn't hear her.
Oh,
I had no idea what she was saying.
Oh, I'm so sweaty.
That's amazing.
Look at me, I'm just like, oh my God, you're talking to... Look, and I'm running down the stairs. And then it will cut out eventually because I lose reception.
Oh, so you abandoned the massage?
Yes, I jumped off the massage table. The lift was taking ages. And so I was like, nah, stuff this, I'm going down the stairs. And then that's where it cuts. And then the next moment is when the video where I run around the corner and go to
that's the famous TikTok. It's had like 6 million views now. So that explains it. So you've got like a shirt on that's got a stain on?
Yes, it's got chocolate yoga on it.
Track pants and bare feet?
Yep. And I didn't even think about grabbing shoes. I didn't think about any of it. I just ran down those stairs. One, because I didn't want to take up any of Shelly-Ann's time. I was like, she could be busy. Like, who knows what she's up to? And so that's why I just ran down the stairs and then obviously went and met her. And just when I tell you what it's like to meet an idol, it's so hard to explain because for so long I watched her compete on TV. Wasn't like social media wasn't huge whatsoever when she blew up. And so I only witnessed her on TV. And as a kid, when you see your idol on TV, you just know for a fact you're never going to meet them. You're just like, I'm going to admire you from afar. You have no idea who I am, but I look up to you as someone who has made a huge impact to women's sport, especially athletics, because it's always about the fastest man on the planet, but it's never about the fastest woman. And she just really emphasised what it meant to be a very fast female in both the 100 and 200 metres. And so when I saw her in person, my whole soul left my body and was watching me above as I hugged her. And if I hugged her 10% stronger than what I did, I would have broken her ribs. She's tiny. She's so tiny. And just super, super kind. And, you know, we're talking about the Olympics. She's talking about her and what she's up to, and she was saying it's her last one, obviously, so she's just going to have fun. We're like, yo, cool. And then she said, I'll come watch you play. And, you know, like, even I've said to people, yeah, I'll come, you know, I'll watch you play. And, it's, you know, you say it with meaning, but you know that deep down you can't.
Probably won't, yeah.
And probably won't. But so when she said it, I was like, oh, yeah, cool. Like, that'd be great, but you're a busy lady. And then all of a sudden, after our China game, I can hear, like, from afar, and I was like, I can hear my name. And I looked up, and here's Alicia Quirk, who's ex-Aussie Sevens player. She does stuff with HSBC Sevens, and she's going like this, and I was like, oh yeah, and then she points like this, and so I just kind of looked to my left, and there's Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce watching us, and I just I jumped up and down, I'm screaming. I was getting interviewed by like Jamaica Star, someone else because of these videos going viral. And she came to watch us play. And then on her Insta story, she's cheering for me. Like, she's cheering for little Michaela Blyde, who's from Taranaki, who, you know, is just a random to her. But to me, she's someone who made a huge impact on my sporting career. And although she would probably never understand it to that aspect, but the fact that she took time out of her day to watch us and to cheer for me really puts in perspective how important it is as an Olympian to really spread that love and care and joy to other people. Because even though I'm an Olympian as well, having her there was just unbelievably meaningful, and it just kind of, it makes you realise for the job that we have as well, when we go to club rugby or to little Jenny's school rugby or whatever, they see us on the sideline and they feel just like how I felt there. And so it was a good reminder that we have a really important role in our job to continue, you know, impacting the lives that we have around us that look up to us as well.
Yeah, and I love just how there's something just really, really pure about your reaction.
Yeah.
How you're not playing it cool.
Not
it's
cool
completely
at all.
unfiltered and natural, and
Yeah.
there's something wonderful about that. And have you been in touch since?
I gave her one of our training jerseys. So that was the last time I saw her, was at the game. I haven't seen her since. I had one of her friends FaceTime her when I was giving a black jersey to the Jamaica team building, because I really wanted to. One of the ways that we love to show our gratitude is by giving a piece of our Black Ferns Sevens kit. And to them, it's probably just a uniform, but to us, that it's something that we actually hold quite cherished to us. And so I gave her one of my training jerseys before she competed, to say, like, thank you. Like, she didn't have to come and see me. She didn't have to come watch us play. She's getting for an Olympic Games herself, getting ready, and she took time out of her day to come and support us. Like, to me, that's just huge. We were never going to go support anyone before our competition kicked off. So the fact that she went and did that was just massive. And so, yeah, I went and sent the jersey to her building. Whether she received it or not, I've got no idea. And then obviously her Olympic journey was disrupted poorly and really unfortunately. And so, you know, she's obviously got things that she needs to deal with as well.
What happened?
Well, obviously she missed out on her semi-final race because of the drama of the bus going to the same security gate for her and other athletes, including Sha'Carri Richardson. And they were disallowed to go through that gate. And so they were like, okay, so where else do we enter? It was entering into the warm-up field. Okay, it's Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
That's a clusterfuck.
It's like, why wasn't she getting escorted to the stadium in the first place by a limo? She's an absolute queen. It's her last Olympic Games. She is an absolute legend of women's sprinting. And this isn't to belittle any of the other women's athletes, but who the heck turns around and disallows Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce from entering the stadium to compete in an Olympic semi-final? Like, excuse my language, but it's total bullshit, really. And she just didn't have enough time to warm up properly, so she just pulled out. And it's so unfortunate. Like, I watched it live. Obviously, I was at home. I was jet lagged, so it was easy for me to wake up at 4 a.m. And yeah, my jaw dropped. It's like, what the hell's going on?
It's outrageous.
It was outrageous. It was
embarrassing.
stupid. Like, I don't know who's in charge or who was involved with that rule change or that structure change, but they need to honestly look at themselves in the mirror, because they really just disrupted what would have been an unbelievable Olympic final. I mean, she may not have won, she may not have medalled, but it wouldn't have mattered, because it was her last Olympic Games out of 5, and she's medalled at all of them, I think. And she's world champion multiple times. Like, let the woman race. Let the girl in. So it was unfortunate. So she's definitely probably around her family and friends to help go through that process.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for sharing all these Olympic experiences. Are you
great.
sick of talking about it yet? Or?
I probably will be eventually, but at the moment, no. It's so fresh and it's cool, and like you said before, like, there is a very, very small percentage of people on this planet that will ever experience an Olympic Games. So to continue sharing the stories and the experiences of it is really important, so people can actually hear what we go through at what is the biggest sporting event in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go all the way back. So, so you're from Taranaki. From what I can gather, your dairy farm family, rugby pedigree. Your dad played a bit of rugby. Your mum was a Black Fern. You play a little bit of rugby when you're the oldest, right? And you've got some
I'm the
brothers.
second oldest.
Second oldest.
Yeah, oldest. 4 kids. Christopher, myself, and then the twins, Cole and Liam, all played rugby. Yep, that was our first sport at 5, as well as athletics at Clifton Rugby Club. Both mum and dad played for Clifton as well. So, yeah, it was the first thing that mum and dad did when we were able to, was to go and register at the Clifton Rugby Club and experience rugby.
Yeah, so you play rugby, then when it gets to sort of tackle age, you're smaller than all the other kids.
Yep.
So you switch to soccer instead.
Yep.
And then sprinting comes into the picture. And then there's like a talent search.
Yeah.
Called Go for Gold.
Yeah, absolutely. Started in 2012.
Right. So you're how old then? So,
I was 16.
Okay.
Yep, so I was year 12 at high school. Initially, I was like, oh, yeah, cool, like, go do a trial. And the very first trial that we did in the Naki was a beep test or a yo-yo test, one or the other, sprint test, so a 10-metre, 20-metre, 40-metre sprint, and then just basic fundamental skills, so catch and pass, tackle, breakdown stuff, real basic stuff. And then I think I'm going to say roughly 40, 50 Naki girls of all ages, of all experiences, went to that trial. And then it got cut down to about 20 to go to the next one in the Naki. And that one was where Sean Horan, who was the coach at the time, came and watched that trial. And from there he picked his I guess your squad members. And so it was myself, Gail Broughton and Lauren Baynes. And yeah, so us 3 Naki girls were the ones that trained at home and went to camps here and there. At this time, Gail was 15 as well, so she's still a kid. And I went to the first Sevens camp in Waiuru, June 2012, and I was the youngest there, and Honey Hinami would have been, I think it was either Honey or Lavinia Gould, who now plays for the Broncos, were the oldest. They were, I'm going to say, late 20s, 30 maybe. So yeah, there was just a wide variety of talent, age, rugby experience and everything. And so that was my Sevens journey. That's where it started in Waiuru 2012.
So when that campaign's called Go for Gold, do you know that it's about to be introduced as an Olympic sport?
Well, not really. Initially I was just, because the way that Mum told me that I made the squad was, I didn't really think of it too much as like, I could go to the Olympic Games. It was, I could try out a new sport. But she came into my room one night when she was in the process of saying goodnight to all 4 kids. She comes into my room and I was like, Mum, do you know if I made the squad or nah? And she was like, okay, you did. But she was working at the rugby union at the time, the
So
Napier
it's like
Academy.
insider trading.
Yeah, so she got all the insight before me, and so, yeah, you did, but don't tell anyone. I was like, cool. I was like, okay, sweet. And so at the initial moment of trialing, no, I was like, just try out a new sport. But the more camps I went to and the more they talked about it, the more video clips they showed. We had Lisa Carrington come in and talk in one of our camps. I think it was 2013 maybe. So the more people that got involved into our environment and our program, the more I realised, oh, okay, this is actually quite serious. But I was also at the time at high school, so the 2016 Olympic game goal was unrealistic to me at the time. I was just super grateful to try a new sport and play rugby in the weekends, but also play soccer at the same time. So at that moment of time, I wasn't too serious on the goal. It was just a matter of getting used to the game of sevens.
And then you find out you're in the national team when you're still at school. What's that? That's crazy.
It was crazy because all of a sudden I went from your average high school kid that was playing soccer in the weekends to having to train nearly every day before and after school. And it was a really fast transition for me, especially because our team wasn't full-time or professional, but we were treated like full-time professional athletes. So there was a training program we had to follow. All of a sudden we're getting taught about, protein supplements, batch testing. So all of a sudden we're now getting drug tested as teenagers. So we had to be wary of what we were putting in our bodies, understanding recovery. Some obviously were starting to represent New Zealand in 2012 with Oceanias, and then the World Series kicked off in December 2012 for women. So all of a sudden we were chucked into a professional environment without actually having that much build up to it. Plus for some of us going to school, or the ones that weren't at school, they were working. So it was a real fast transition that we had to get used to very, very quickly if we wanted to go to the Rio Olympic Games. And
for those early games, did you feel like you belonged there, or did you feel like an imposter? Or?
I felt horribly left out. This is going to sound potentially a little bit weird, but I was one of the very few Pākehā girls in the squad. There was myself, Lauren up until 2012. Kelly Brazier was another frequent member as well, obviously. And so I found it very hard to fit into a culture that I was not used to whatsoever. And so I was so shy. I barely spoke to anyone. I stuck to Gail's hip so bad. Like, she was the person that I had to stick by. Otherwise, I didn't get along with anyone. And I was scared of everyone. And, they're not intimidating women whatsoever, but they are very powerful women with presence. Not only that, but they're strong people as well. Like Linda Aitunu, ridiculously strong, run into her shoulders and you're knocked out. The very first camp, I was doing a drill with Ruby Tui, and I was holding a tackle shield, and she just carried in like a normal drill, but I fell on my ass and Sean yelled at me, and I'm 16, like I'm a kid learning a sport, and so I started crying. And Lauren was just like, come on, MG, you're okay. Let's keep going. I was like, okay. Like I felt so lonely in every camp. I loved coming home. But it took me a long time to find my place and my confidence in the squad, which is completely natural as someone who was a 16-year-old girl learning how to be a professional athlete around these women who had been either playing rugby for quite a while or was a Black Fern. So finding my place did take a little bit, but when I did, I started to blossom, and I now feel like I'm one of those leaders who just had to be their authentic self. I'm definitely one of the most blunt, honest ones in the team, but that took a long time to find me as a human in a Black Fern Sevens environment.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any way to sort of fast track that.
No, definitely not.
You weren't that person at 16, and also people would be like, "Who the fuck is this kid?"
Yeah, literally.
Bossing everyone around.
Yeah, literally. But the one moment that, because growing up, I know we might touch onto it, but obviously the body image thing was a huge thing for me mentally. I never struggled to grow my shoulders. They grew just like that when I was 7 from sprinting. And I was always teased about it. And so when I went to one of the camps, it still makes me go like, why? We went to this camp. It would have been the 3rd or 4th camp. It was quite warm, and so I had a singlet on under like a normal training top. So I took off my training top, had my singlet on, and Linda Aitonu, who is one of the just most impactful women rugby players in New Zealand, and she's not little, obviously. She was a number 8 in her time, and I took my top off, and she was like, "Whoa, Michaela, you've got quite big shoulders for a little white girl." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And I just wanted to cry. I was just like, man, even in this environment surrounded by professionals, I still get pointed out. And it just made me feel like shit. Like, I find it so funny now, and there was no way I was going to say anything to Bindi. And if she does hear this, it's hilarious, Bindi, I promise. But yeah, at the time, I was just like, great, cool. So I chucked my shirt back on, and I struggled so much with trying to fit into an environment when the whole point of being in that environment was to be strong, and it took a long time for me to get used to.
Well, you were just embarrassed because you look different, or you were self-conscious?
100%, both.
Yeah, because you had nicknames, like the Hulk and Terminator.
Yeah, I got teased so bad as a kid, and it just absolutely destroyed my confidence growing up. So when I was writing, when the author was writing my book, Strike Hard, I was in the middle of therapy sessions, trying to find a way to love myself again. Because for so long, as a young girl growing up, having strong shoulders was frowned upon. Like, it wasn't something that people admired. It was something that you were teased about. And I couldn't help it. Like, I genuinely just did athletics for so long, and obviously sprinting develops strength in your shoulders. And then as I started playing rugby, they obviously have to grow because you got to get through contact. And so it took a long time for me to accept it. Like, if I was sitting here 12 months ago, I wouldn't wear this shirt. Like, there was just nothing that I would do that would showcase any strength. I would hide it big time.
You wear like baggy clothes?
Baggy clothes,
really?
A sweatshirt, 100%. Yeah, it took a long time for me to truly go out and wear stuff that potentially showcase my strength. And so that's why I loved your podcast with Lisa Carrington, because she's strong, man. Like, you can't help but admire it. And so she obviously talks about it every now and then. And I remember this one doco, or it might have been this podcast, I can't remember, but she said, if, being a champion makes me look like this, I love it. I was like, oh, yes. I'm an Olympic gold medal champion twice, and I look like this. Yes.
And you should be proud too. Like, it's a high performing, functioning body.
It is, yeah. The fact that it took so long for me to be like, I need this body to be able to run fast, tackle hard, fend people in the face, to get back up again. And if I got smashed in a tackle, like, if it weren't for that, I would have struggled big time.
Yeah.
So now I'm in a place where I'm so thankful for what my body can do, because every single muscle in my body has a purpose when I run out onto that rugby field. And I think that's so strong and so powerful to have that strength when we play such a brutal sport.
Yeah, I'm so pleased you've found peace with it, but
Same.
I'm alarmed that
It took a long time.
I'm alarmed that it's only been like the past year.
Literally, yeah. And my therapist, when I first spoke to her, I was just in tears, because I wanted to be able to love myself for how I looked. I wanted to stop looking in a mirror and thinking, oh, damn, I wish I didn't have these shoulders, or, oh, you can see my biceps, I'm going to put a shirt on, or whatever. It's different in the gym. Like, when I'm in the gym, I'm wearing a singlet, I'm with my teammates, everyone's doing the same thing. Like, in that environment, it's different. Outside of it, when I'm not around my teammates, or I'm at a social media event or a public event or whatever, that's where I went into my shell, and didn't want to wear anything revealing or, outlining my arms or anything like that. So it's taken a good solid 27 years to accept that for how I look.
So the therapist, is that like a sports therapist, or just?
Yep. So she specialises in body image, body dysmorphia, eating disorders, except like that sort of avenue. She's not really sporty at all, which was great. I've been surrounded by sports psych since I was 16, and so that's all I knew and was used to talking to. But talking to someone who had no idea what rugby was really was so refreshing. And she looked at me as just Michaela Blyde, the human being that needed help. And so that was really comforting for me, and it instantly made me feel so comfortable talking to her. It was always through Zoom, but it made me feel so comfortable talking to her about my private life, because she was never going to compare it to my rugby life. It was just me as a human being, and she wanted to help me as a human being. And so, yeah, it took a year of therapy sessions, but I'm so glad I did them, because now I've just found this new, bright confidence that I don't think anyone would be able to knock down at the moment.
Really? Fuck, you're unstoppable.
It could come across as a little bit of arrogance, but...
2 gold medals. I think you've earned the right to be a little bit arrogant.
Like, I'll always keep my humility there, but if I can't hide who I am. I want to be my authentic self, and if that means wearing shirts like this, then I'm happy to do that. Yeah.
Were there any like aha moments from that therapy, or like key takeaways that spring to mind that you could pass on to anyone that's listening to this that is self-conscious about aspects of their own body?
It's a lot of self-talk. For me, I constantly put myself down, and so mentally in my brain all the time it was, no, your shoulders are too big, you need to cover that, or you look too strong, you need to wear a jacket. So I was constantly in my head like this, rotating all the time. So then the tool for me that worked heaps was self-talk. And so looking in a mirror and just saying to myself, man, you look good. Or, I look beautiful today. Or, Michaela, you look amazing. Like, just constantly giving myself that positive reinforcement. Automatically your body and your mind starts to believe in these sort of things. The mind is ridiculous when it comes to professional sport. It loves to put self-doubt in your brain. It loves to put you down. And so by trying to fight that by putting positiveness in my brain, really helped me see myself in that positive light, rather than putting on a mask and just laughing off when someone commented about my shoulders. Now I'm like, yeah, I am strong, or yeah, I do have big shoulders, but I can also tackle people. And I can run fast, and I can do really cool things on the rugby field and in the gym. So, yeah, it's just constant self-talk that helped me stay as positive as I could possibly be.
What happens? Do you sort of catch yourself every now and then, like with negative
100%.
In a voice? Yeah,
Definitely. Yep.
And then what? You just try and sort of...
Yeah, just try and talk myself out of it. Whether it's just reminding myself, yeah, but look at what you've got. Or yeah, but look at your job, or the people that love you. Someone who has just been an incredible rock for me has been Michael. He's just been constantly reminding me, like, you're beautiful no matter what you look like, and I don't need to have big shoulders, or I don't need to have whatever to be who I am. Like, who I am as a human being is far more important. And so I kept reminding myself that as well. But yeah, I have definitely gone into moments where I've been like, oh man, like that was a comment today. And I've told Michael, and I've had my tears, and then moved on from it. So there is still processes in place that I have to remind myself about with. But yeah, it's put me in such a different light. And it definitely led to me respecting who I am as an athlete and who I am as a human being far more than what I used to even a year ago. Yeah.
Thanks for opening up about that stuff.
It's all good.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Mealy Kerr on the podcast as well, the cricketer, and same sort of thing, like just an absolute bully to herself with her in her voice.
Yeah.
And it's hard, I suppose, with what she does and what you do. Like you don't want to give yourself a free pass and go too easy on yourself, but then it's not helpful, to kick your own ass every minute of the day.
No, especially because both her and I are in a very professional environment. Like when she just suddenly was huge on the internet after what she did in her cricket days, we're exactly the same. We're constantly in a high performance environment, fighting to be selected in a team to play for our country. And so it's such a cutthroat environment that we're in, So it's important that we have to love ourselves and to give ourselves that love and that time to just release ourselves or whatever, because the world that we live in is harsh, but that's what we sign up for, being rugby players. And so yeah, it's important that we have that time to look at ourselves and love ourselves, and still have that time to, if we need to be negative, go be negative, but come back to who you are as a human, who you are as a person. So yeah, it's taken a long time to perfect that process. But yeah,
it's probably an ongoing work in progress.
It is,
well.
100%. Yeah. There's always new challenges that come upon us. Now being obviously more in the spotlight, and being on TV all the time, so there's that pressure as well, that external pressure of trying to impress people when we actually don't need to. But just to perform for our country, we've got the whole country on our shoulders expecting us to perform really, really well. So yeah, it's hard, but it's great.
You guys, you guys have done so well. Like I remember, like when I was younger, like the men's sevens team was always a big deal. It felt like it was a feeder for the All Blacks in a way.
Definitely.
The training ground for like Jonah and Cully, insert name here sort of thing. Now I couldn't name any of the guys, but I can name so many of the female team.
Yeah.
You guys have done that.
Yeah. No, we set a goal years ago to obviously establish ourselves as one of the greatest teams in the world. I think we've done that. I truly do. If we look at an Olympic Games, for example, we have only lost one game in our whole Olympic campaign, and that was the final, obviously, in Rio to Australia. Otherwise, we've won every single game. And so we have to celebrate that. We have to put that out for the people to hear how successful we are. But it obviously doesn't come easy. We've worked so hard for the successes that we have, whether it is Olympic Games or Commonwealths or World Cups or World Series, and that's hard. It's so hard. But a lot of people obviously see the glorified version of it. They see us having fun on the rugby field, or they see on social media the sponsorships that we get, the opportunities of travelling the world. But on the outside, mentally and physically, it is such a tough job, and you've got to be able to handle it, because it's just so not easy for any sport in general, to be honest, for high performance sport. But yeah, it's a type of job where if you can't handle it, it will make you crumble, as honest as I can possibly be there. So yeah, there's the love for the game, but there's also the love of wanting to do your country and your family and yourself proud while wearing the black jersey, and that's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. Yeah.
These are some of the points that you brought up in your email to me that you wanted to discuss. The constant pressure of representing the country. Is that what you're talking about?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Must be all-consuming at times.
It can be, yeah, absolutely, and I think that's why at the moment, like, I'm on such a good mental and emotional break from rugby. As soon as we won gold, and I'll touch on it as well with my journal writing. As soon as we won gold and done our medal ceremony, I went over to Michael and I gave him a hug and I whispered into his ear, I don't want to do this again. Like, it was just so tiring. When you are constantly thinking about the same goal, which was obviously to win gold, it is time consuming, it is mentally consuming, it just becomes the be all and end all. Like, and although it's not, like, it doesn't define who you are as a human being, but for so long it is prioritised that anything less than gold for us was disappointing. 100% we would have cried. If we were Canada or USA right now, we would not be celebrating the way that they are right now. It's just the standards that we have for wearing a black jersey, and I think that's the other thing as well, is as naturally being a black jersey representative in New Zealand, we are always going to be naturally expected to win. It's the same for the All Blacks, the same for the Black Ferns, even the All Black Sevens, actually even the Māori All Blacks. Like, if you are wearing a black jersey for New Zealand, you have a natural expectation from your country to win because it's our nation's sport. It's probably the same for USA basketball or, ice hockey or whatever in Canada. Like, it is our sport. It is our country that has put rugby on the map. and we're so tiny. We're such a small country, and so we want to do New Zealand proud by winning all the time. But when we don't, it's actually really hard to deal with.
Yeah, the weight of expectation is huge. If you guys don't win gold, it's almost like you've choked.
Exactly. And people start to judge, and people start to think that they're the next Black Ferns Sevens coach, and they start to select us and on the couch at home, and it's actually like, it's all social media crap, but it is actually quite confronting when you see things on social media saying, oh, nah, she's well done her time, she needs to be dropped, bring in this person, what's the coach doing, why did they do this, when they've got no idea what our environment is like and the natural pressure that we have of winning. So yeah, it's really exhausting, to be honest. But on the flip side, it is so enjoyable being a part of an environment that is super successful, and winning back-to-back gold. It is a very, very good feeling. Very good feeling, yeah.
Are you good at blocking out that noise and ignoring the social media stuff, or does it depend on what mood you're in when you read it?
I wasn't. Like, it probably, the social media stuff started a little bit more when I won World Rugby Player of the Year the first time, because all of a sudden I had a name in World Rugby and I had a reputation. And so naturally I had the pressure in my own head, okay, I've just won World Rugby Women's Sevens Player of the Year. That means I have to be the best rugby player on the field all the time. That means I have to score 3 tries in every game. That means I have to win every tournament, every time we play. So that's what I was putting through my own head. So when I made mistakes, which I did literally straight after winning that award the first time in Dubai, we got 5th because I made a mistake, essentially. All of a sudden I went into a really dumb hole of, yeah, that was your fault, or you're already blowing your reputation. And then the funny thing was that 9 months later I won it again. So it was a stupid process that I put my head through. But initially, yes, but because I was starting to be on social media more, I was featured in highlights more, I was playing more, so my name was getting out there. Nowadays, not at all. Not at all. I know who I am as a rugby player. I know my strength and I know my place in this team. It took a long time to get to that point, but the one thing I hope is that for all of the members of our team, all of my sisters, to have that same feeling of belonging in this team. I know my belonging, but again, it took so long to get to that point. And so social media stuff for me doesn't make it's no impact for me whatsoever. It annoys me when I see people comment about my own teammates. Like, that's what actually makes me most mad, is when people comment about my other teammates, and I'm like, you don't even know who these humans are. Like, who gives you the right to tell them that they're average rugby players? Like, actual, shush your lips. Shush your lips. Go to work. Stop embarrassing yourself. Like, you actually look like a fool.
Oh, that's hilarious. It's so true though, but it's annoying. It's irritating, eh?
It is.
Another thing you said in your email, you want to talk about the selfishness of training as a high performance athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, this must have been. So you and Michael, you got together after the Tokyo Olympics.
We were seeing each other pre it.
Okay.
And then our second date was in April 2021.
Right.
And we both said, at this time, Michael actually hadn't qualified for Tokyo. So his rowing 8 crew still needed to go to Switzerland to go to the last regatta to qualify their boat for Tokyo. So he was going through that process. I was going through, obviously, middle of the season, about to leave to go to Australia for a month to train there to hopefully get selected for Tokyo. So his place or his process was a little bit different to mine. But we both said to each other then, we have to get a gold medal first, then we can pursue this. We saw each other a few times after that, but it wasn't essentially exclusive. He had to keep our relationship as a secret for a little bit because the rowing bubble had done their own personal bubble, which meant they couldn't leave Cambridge. They literally could only go to the training field to their own home. And even if they went to the supermarket, like, they had to do online shopping because they still needed to qualify their boat. So they couldn't afford to get sick, genuinely couldn't afford to be sick. when they were doing MIQ before going to Tokyo. And so I was the one going to Cambridge, and I always made sure that I was healthy, because if I bought something to Cambridge and gave it to Michael and then he gave it to a squad, that's me gone. Like, I needed to rewrite my will because it would have been horrendous. So yeah, we had to keep it a secret for a little bit. And so we got to Tokyo, we hadn't seen each other for a couple months, and so it was almost like we had to stay this distance as well when we saw each other in Tokyo. But yeah, we had to put our performance first before pursuing our relationship. So when we both won gold, which was absolutely bizarre, because we literally said to each other, let's go win gold first, then we can start, being in a relationship. So we did. I was like, sweet.
Did you, when you came back to New Zealand after that, did you do MIQ together? No.
No, not together. We were in separate rooms, which was probably a good thing. And then I went to Cambridge as soon as we got back from MIQ, and I drove to Cambridge, and then literally the next day we had lockdown. So essentially we did MIQ together in his house in Cambridge. So we'd only been official for like 2 weeks, and then we lived with each other for 3 weeks. So we just chucked our relationship right in the deep end and see if it survived, and it did. Now we're getting married. Yeah, so it obviously went okay.
Yeah, actually MIQ would have been an appalling idea at that early stage of the relationship.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, well, I suppose he's in an interesting position, getting back to this selfishness of training as a high-performance athlete thing, because he's no longer doing it, but he must have an understanding or an appreciation of exactly what goes into it.
Definitely. Having someone in my bubble, I guess, going back to COVID, but so having someone in my corner who completely understands the discipline. I don't want to use the word sacrifice, because we make a lot of hard choices, but sacrifice is quite a strong word and I don't like using it, but we make a lot of hard choices to put our sport first. And it's important that in this day and age, especially as a female rugby player, that we make the most out of what we get given, because when I move on from rugby, this is what I'm assuming, when I move on from rugby, the lifestyle I live will not be extravagant as what it is right now. And so I'm going to make the most of every opportunity that I get given. And he's extremely supportive of that, and he will always make sure that he is there for me, whether it is, a shoulder to cry on or an ear to listen to, because when it comes to the stress of training and performing, he knows exactly what it feels like. And so I'm very fortunate to have someone like him to support me in that way. I'm also more fortunate to have him in my corner because he retired straight after Tokyo. And so he's now going through a really cool process of after sport life, and I'm going to have to go through the same thing. So when I retire, he's going to be not essentially my coach, but he'll be my number one supporter that will be like, right, let's do this together. Because mentally it's going to be a train wreck, probably. That's what I'm assuming anyway. So
it's such a big part of your life for so many years.
It's huge, yeah.
It's defined your entire 20s.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I don't know any different. I went from school to essentially being a full-time athlete without getting paid as one, while also milking the cows because I needed to earn money, to then living in Tauranga and only doing rugby. I never went to uni. I tried uni distance learning, but I sucked. I've never had any other job. This is essentially my very first full-time job. And so it's going to be the same for someone like Georgia or Manaia Nuku, Mahina Paul, who literally was contracted straight after school. So yeah, it's going to be important for when I retire, whenever that may be, that Michael's going to be there to guide me on this mental journey. So he's going through it at the moment, and he's just, oh God, I'm so proud to call him my future husband, because he's just absolutely smashed it. He's had his obstacles and he's had his challenges, but he's predominantly done it by himself. And if it was anyone else, they would have absolutely crumbled. So yeah, I'm going to definitely need him when I retire, because it's going to be a different mindset that I'm going to have to change from being a high performance athlete to being a normie.
A civilian.
A civilian, yeah.
Yeah. God, those air points will last you for a few years.
I know.
Surely.
I'm not travelling anywhere after rugby because I won't be able to afford business class. So I'm soaking it up while I can.
Oh, by the way, short people like you in business class make me sick.
I know. I'm so sorry. I honestly feel bad sometimes. No, but what makes me what annoys me? Is when I see like a 2-year-old in business class.
Outrageous.
I'm like, you don't even respect this. Like, get to economy now. Like, when I see little kids in business class, that's what irks me. But, you know, they're obviously in a very privileged position, so good on them. But I can tell you now, our future kids ain't sitting in business class. They can earn that.
Can you even get your feet on the New Zealand Ottoman?
No. Sometimes I'm sitting in my chair and I'm like this. But yeah, like for someone like Michael, he's 6'2", and when he's like, his knees are up against it, I feel so bad. I feel so bad for that, but it's my life, so it's my career choice. I'm going to accept it while I can. Yeah.
Now you mentioned the R word before retirement. I listened to a podcast that you did way back in August 2018, and this is a quote from that podcast. So what's that? 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
So how old are you now?
I would have been 22.
22. Okay, so this is Michaela Blyde at 22. If I make it to the Paris Olympics and I'm still in the sevens team at the age of 28. That would be my dream. So that was you at 22 in August 2018. That was you putting a line in the sand.
Wow.
Now this is where we are.
That like low-key makes me emotional. I don't know why. Holy shit. Yeah. I don't know why that's making me emotional, but I think it's just because I'm so proud. Like, there's so many things that I said when I was a kid that I wanted to do, and there's so many things that I've put in paper and I've manifested and it's happened. And so, like, knowing that at 22 that was what I was dreaming of, like, this hadn't even happened yet, so I was thinking so far ahead. And I think I'm just so proud that I'm someone who, when I set a goal, I will make sure that no one gets in my way to achieve that. So yeah, that sounds weird in so many ways, knowing that I said that, but I've still got more to give. I definitely have more to give.
Yeah. It's quite funny when you're 22, 28 seems very old.
Yeah.
And then you get to 28 and you realise, okay.
Yeah. Do you know what? It would have been because I've been in this team since I was 16. And so the idea of being in this team 12 years later from when I was 16 would have been bizarre. Like, that would have been unrealistic in my eyes. But yeah, now that I've hit that point, I definitely have more to give. Not right now.
Not today.
Not today. I'm so mentally and emotionally exhausted from rugby right now. And my coach, he's a gem. I've known Corey for so long, and he's been in my corner and had my back for so long when I was constantly not selected from 2014 to 2016. Like, he was the first person that said, you've got this. And he's given me a good period of time for me to just step back. And so I'm going to take that time to just be Michaela Blyde and plan a wedding, because I'm so excited to get married. Can't wait to marry Michael. Like, he's just changed my life massively. And it's so weird because, like, as a little girl, I don't know why, I think it was because I had 3 brothers, and so, like, as a little girl, I was that person that was like, oh, who am I going to marry, or what's my last name going to be? And I know that now, and it's such a weird feeling. Like, it's a when you know kind of feeling, but he's just been such a huge rock for me since Tokyo, because I went through so many. After Tokyo, I was like dead set on this being my last tournament. I was like, nah, that will be my last one. But now that it's happened, I know mentally and emotionally that I can't give any more right now to rugby, but I will give back when I can and how I can through this, through social media, through talking about our stories, but also by being present with the people that I love most. Because that way, when I go back to rugby, and I have a new last name, I'm going to give my all. I'm someone that when I'm there, I am 110% all in. I'm not half-assing anything. So I need to rebuild that energy and refill my cup to then go back into the environment to be that annoying Minnie who's trying to beat everyone, even though everyone's my teammate.
Hey, thanks for sharing that and being so open about it. I think that quote. It's really fucking cool. You've done it.
I know. That's so weird.
You've done those things.
I've done those things.
Yes. So how long of a break are you planning on having?
I've given myself until the middle of October to go back to rugby. It could be longer.
You're kidding me. I was thinking like a year, 2 years.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Like a month or two.
Yeah, I'm talking about like 10 weeks, but I've been given longer. But I know, the thing is with our leave, is that we get given 6 weeks, but by like week 3, we have to start doing stuff. And I was like, hell no, I've done this for 12 years. Like, I don't need that. So, I'll probably not going to start doing any sort of proper training until October, November, because I want to go into this. I'm sick of having random niggles, like my toe hurts, my foot hurts, my hammies I got cramp in my hamstring a week ago, and I had DOMS from that cramp for like a week. Like, I just need to rest my body, and so when I go into pre-season, whenever that may be, I want to just rebuild my strength and my speed from literally square one. So when it comes to next season, I'm as strong as I possibly can be, because I don't want to be that athlete. I want to earn my right back in the team. I want to earn my selection, because that's all I'm used to, and that's all I know. So I don't want to go back into the environment and be like, okay, hey, I'm back. Like, I've got no cemented role in the team. I know my place in the squad, but I've still got a trial, so I don't want to come into the environment and just expect to be selected straight away. Like, I want to earn my right to be selected again. So that's probably going to be my mindset from November-ish this year onwards.
And then you've got the wedding next year.
Yep.
What about kids? Have you guys discussed kids? You want
Absolutely.
Kids at some point?
Yep. No, it's a... I won't go too deep on it, but yeah, it is a touchy subject.
Is that why?
It is. I think because Michael's in a place where he is ready for kids. I'm totally as well, but I also I'm in a place where I'm in a very privileged position with rugby, and I want to make the most of representing my country. I want to make the most of the support that we get given financially. And so when I go, I'm the type of person who has seen every stage of parenthood. When I first made the team in 2016, Carla Hohepa just gave birth. So she was in our environment and breastfeeding. So she had to leave training to go and breastfeed her first son. I've also seen Kelly Brazier, whose wife has given birth to 2 lovely boys. But I've seen her come into the environment exhausted. And she wasn't even one that gave birth. She was tired and everything. I've also seen Dice Valiafanga, who's got beautiful twin boys, go from giving birth at a young age of 21 or 22 to then fighting for her position back in the squad. And it is hard. It is so, so hard. And so selfishly, I want to make sure, I don't want to have kids and come back to rugby. I've set that in concrete. Like, if I have kids, that's me done with rugby, because I want 100% wholeheartedly give my love, care and attention to my kids. I want to be there hands-on. I've seen Niall Williams even miss her kids' birthdays so many times, and it sucks. Like, I've seen her upset because she wants to be there for her daughter's first day of school, but she couldn't because she was off playing rugby. And so while I'm in this position, I'm going to give all I can to rugby. So then when I go away from rugby, I don't have the urge to want to come back. That's the feeling I want to avoid. I want to give everything so I can park it and go on to the next phase of life. So yeah, kids are 100% in the convo, but we've both have set that it's going to be when I know that I'm 100% ready to be a mum.
So, Michael, if you're watching this, you wait until after the LA games in 4 years, or Actually, you'll only be 32. You could.
I can tell you this now. I think Paris will be my last one. I'm almost.
Oh, last Olympics.
Yeah.
Really? You're
Yeah.
not thinking about LA?
No, not at all. Reason being is that one, I want to be a mum. I don't, and this isn't to go against any athlete who's done it differently. Everyone's got their own journey and their own way of doing things. But I don't want to be having my first kid at 30. That could be the case naturally, like, the way of life. But I still want to go away from rugby in a really good physical position. With a, I don't want to be broken or anything like that. So, Paris was exhausting, but it was so rewarding. I loved it so much, and 2 for me is more than enough. And so I'm contracted till 2026, and the reason is because stubbornly I don't want to end my career on a Com Games bronze and a World Cup silver, because that just irks me so much. So if Com Games happens, if it doesn't, then it is what it is. But yeah, 2026, I will absolutely put my all up until then, and then reassess. Bear in mind, coastal rowing is in the background and is at the LA 28 Olympic Games. And so Michael has definitely put interest in that as well. So he could be at the Olympic Games in 2028. And if that's the case, sweet. I'll happily let him go and do that. And I will happily have our 1-year-old or 1.5-year-old at the beach cheering on Dad in the LA Olympics. I think that would just be absolutely beautiful. So, yeah, we're not going to go further than 2026 for now. We'll reassess at the time. But if Paris Olympics was my last Olympics, I would be stoked.
Oh,
Very,
how could
very
you not
happy.
be? How
Exactly.
could you not be?
How could you not
Yeah.
be? Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be. I mean, there's only 2 ways you end a career like this, eh? Like, it's unceremoniously dumped, pretty much, or you leave on your own terms.
And I want to leave on my own terms,
Yeah.
100%. That's always been the intention. Leaving it on my own terms just gives you that little bit of control in your career. When it comes to our career, obviously we're the ones that are training hard, but there are a lot of people above us that can determine how your career goes. So I'm going to avoid that as much as possible. I want to be able to do what I can while being in the position that I'm in with Rugby Sevens. Yeah.
Okay, so there was that quote I read up before from you from August 2018. So that's 6 years ago. So 6 years from now, what are we manifesting?
Oh God.
So what's that? 2030.
Health. Health.
3 kids under 5.
3 kids under 5. 3's more than enough. Like, I don't know how my mum did it with 4 under 5 at one point, plus dairy farming. Like, bugger that. Yeah, no, what am I going to put out there? Health and happiness. Just literally being in a place where I can look back on my career and be like, I did exactly what I wanted to do. Bear in mind, even now, I've done everything that you can in the Sevens environment. I've obviously got golds in Com Games, World Cup, Olympics. I've won this. I literally could not do any more. But there's a couple individual things that I selfishly want to do. So, for example, I want to be ahead of Portia with top try scorer. Love you, sis, but I'm coming for you.
How far behind are you?
Oh, I'm not entirely sure. I think maybe 9-ish tries.
Oh, that's
so that's
a
a
couple
couple
of games
tournaments.
for you.
Exactly. Yep. No, I want to be in front of Portia. I reckon I have the potential to be the highest capped Black Ferns Sevens player with tournaments. I think Gossie has that at the moment.
Who's got that? Oh, is that Sarah Hidden?
Sarah,
right,
yep.
Yeah.
Tyler will be the next one, and then maybe Portia. So there's a few people ahead of me on that, but I reckon I have the potential to have that as well, depending on when Gossie retires. If she retires the same time as me, then definitely not. But
You must have thought you had her with the knee thing.
I know, I was like, I'm catching up to you, sis.
She's awesome, eh?
Oh, she's amazing.
She's a savage.
Oh, I could go on about her for days. But yeah, so I definitely want to do that stuff as well. Just because I'm a competitive bitch and I just want to win everything.
Oh, good for you.
That's my childhood. That's just because that's how we were brought up. So I want to do that.
You never had a chance.
Yeah.
I read this somewhere, or maybe I heard it in one of the podcasts that I've listened to that you've been on, about choosing happiness. You talk about choosing happiness. What does that mean exactly?
I want to be able to live a life where I'm happy with the decisions that I've made. I'm obviously going to be extremely happy with my relationship. Like, Michael is just, he is an angel sent down from the heavens above to me. So definitely happy in that aspect. I just want to I want to be that mum that sits back and look at my kids playing in the backyard and being like, nothing could be better than this right now. And so that obviously has external and internal aspects to that. And so I guess that's, I hear about people who are just so sad with their life, and it makes me sad. So I just want to, I love Kanye snoring right now. My dog snores too, and it's distracting. You're so cute. I just want to be able to live a very proud life where I couldn't do or give or probably do any different. Like, where I'm like, yeah, this is the life that I want, and this is the life that I want to continue living. Yeah, so that's why I think I always say to choose happiness. And however that looks, whatever job it is, I don't know what I'm going to do after rugby. Like, I would love to be involved with Sky Sport. Hint, hint. I'm also passionate about the police, but there's some people in my life that don't want me to be a police officer, which is fine.
Michael, does he not want you?
My family,
because you've even done some. You want to be like a dog handler?
Yeah, I did some ride-alongs with the Tauranga Police, and I loved it. It was cool.
Was it?
It was so cool.
Like
we chased down bad guys in the bush in Otamutai, and I saw a dog grip onto a bad guy's hand and get tasered on the ground. Like, it was epic. I loved it. But yeah, no, there's some people that are just like, oh, I'd rather you be safe at home. I'm like, yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I also love Sky Sport stuff. Like, I loved the commentating with Ricky. I'd love to be involved in some way, shape or form, because I genuinely love sport. Like, I genuinely really love rugby, even outside of playing it. It's a beautiful sport, and you meet so many different people. So I would love to do that kind of stuff as well. But when I say choose happiness, it's just a matter of being content and happy with the lifestyle that I live, no matter how that looks. I don't want to be someone who is sad. So yeah, I think that's why I just have it a broad goal of just choosing happiness and choosing the lifestyle that I know would make me and my family happy.
Oh, I love that. And another thing, you messaged me and you wanted to talk about the impact of journaling and manifestation on your life.
Yeah.
How long have you been a journaler?
I discovered it in the end of 2020. So before I met Michael, I was in another long-term relationship.
With a rugby player?
With the rugby player.
No good. Stay away from
Stay away from rugby players.
Rowers
Rowers are far better. No, some rugby players are good. I was in a long-term relationship for 5.5 years, and that breakup was hard, mentally and emotionally. It needed to happen.
Did it just run its course?
Yep. When you grow up with someone from the age of 19, your values and moral, you change. Everyone changes during your mid to early 20s, and so it needed to happen. But it was also 8 months out from the Olympics, and I was like, I can't deal with these emotions in my head. And I don't know why I thought about it, but I was like, I'm going to go to Kmart and I'm going to buy a journal book and some colourful pens, and I'll write my thoughts in my head. So rather than having all these sad, emotional, random thoughts in my head and trying to remember why I thought that or how do I process it, I'll write it down instead. And so that's when I started journal writing, was November-ish of 2020. And so I've written in a journal every day since then.
Wow.
At the end of the day. And it was just a good way for me to brain dump at the end of the day. Some people do it at the start, some people do it in the middle of the day, so everyone's got their own processes around it, but I do it at the end of the day, and I write down what I did, what made me happy, what I'm grateful for. I write a lot of manifestations and positive affirmations. So for 6 months leading into Tokyo, I did like a manifestation meditation to win gold, to be happy, to find someone that makes me happy, and then Michael turned up. So like it's such a strong, powerful tool that you're either open or not to it, but when you put it out to the universe, like I was saying to myself, I am an Olympic gold medalist. And so why I wanted to talk about it was because the scary things that have happened in my career. So before Tokyo, with my journal, I picked like a couple random pages. So I just went flip, and then another few pages flip, and I'd write questions. So the first question might have been, are you happy? The next one was, have you found someone new? And then another one was, are you an Olympic gold medalist? I was like, yeah, this will be a cool challenge if I end up turning the page and I see it, and then be like, okay, let's answer that question. And so in Tokyo, we'd won gold, went back to the village, went to go to bed, and I flipped the page to write my new journal piece, and on that page was, are you an Olympic gold medalist? And so I wrote that literally 6 months before. So I have no idea what I'm going to write. I have no idea how long my piece is. It can go from a sentence to half a page, and it happened to have been that page. And so when I saw the question, I was like, yes, I am. Yes, I am an Olympic gold medalist. And so like I visualize all these things in my head with rugby. I've visualized scoring tries. I've visualized winning finals, and it's happened. Like it's just one of my tools that I love to use in my career, but also outside of rugby as well. And then I did the same thing with Paris. So I buy a new journal every year, and I wrote, in a few pages, are you the blah, 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 blah. Picked another random page and was like, are you an Olympic gold medalist? So completely random. And I did this in February-ish of this year. And so on, it must have been like 2 days before the final. So day one, I flipped the page to start my journal piece, which I write work hard, strike hard, tackle hard before every game day. And there was the question on the night of day one. So before our last pool game. And I saw the question and I was like, holy fuck. Like, it was so random. It was so weird. Because I don't go back and be like, oh, how far is it now? Like, I just, close. Like, I don't check anything or look back on it. And so, yeah, it was literally the most randomest page that I could select. And both times it was either the day of or a couple days before the Olympic final. And there was the question. So both times I could write. But I wanted to share this bit because it's actually like, I thought it was quite powerful. So when I had won gold in Paris, and I was lying in bed next to Michael, and he was snoring, but I was just staring at the ceiling, and I didn't fall asleep for hours. And I was like, I'm going to write some notes down. And so this is what I wrote. This is why I'm really happy to share it, because it's actually random stuff. I wrote, it's the night of winning an Olympic gold. My emotions are different to Tokyo. The first one was amazing. I felt so much happiness and joy. This time I feel more so content, relief, and pride. I had a thought go through my head after the warm-up of our China pool game. Man, I really don't want to do this again. I snapped myself out of it, of course, but it did make me think. Why would I have that thought going through my head into an Olympic Games in front of thousands of people and my family? Just what I've been dreaming of doing since I was little. Now that we've won, I think I know why. I genuinely had a feeling of I really don't want to do that again. The stress, the anxiety, the desire to want something so bad takes over all other priorities, and it's tiring. It's been a physically and mentally tiring 3 years, but also extremely rewarding, and I wouldn't change a thing. I understand the feeling of when you know, however that is the feeling of the present moment while cuddling with Michael after nearly 4 months apart. That could change when I'm home and not overtired and dehydrated. I'm going to enjoy these next few days because when they go, I'll miss them. And so I wrote it in my notes, and then when I got to my journal, I wrote it in my book. And to me, I think it's really important sharing those thoughts and emotions as an athlete, because a lot of people can be quite personable with that sort of stuff. They keep it close to them. But I think I'm now in that part of my career where I want to share more of that side of me, because a lot of people just see me scoring tries, but that's not just who I am. I do have thoughts of moving on. I've been playing the sport for such a long time that I'm now creeping closer to the other side. And so I want people to kind of understand that as athletes at the top of our game, we still have these kind of thoughts. And, you know, when I do decide to retire, whenever that may be, I'm going to be extremely happy. I'll also be so sad, and I can guarantee I'll go through feelings of, oh, maybe not yet, maybe it's too soon, or it's too early, or I might regret it. Like, I 100% feel like that's going to happen. But yeah, it was just this emotional, overwhelming feeling of, oh my God, that was hard. I don't want to do that again. So yeah, it was so worth it. So worth it the last 3 years. But yeah, journaling has been able to help me release those feelings and those thoughts, and be able to understand and look back and be like, why did I think that? Or is there an outside reason why I felt like that? And then maybe I can put it down to this or put it down to that. So that's why I think journal writing has been extremely important for my career, because I've been able to put that in process and put that into place.
And the manifesting, like, it worked. Like,
it worked.
You didn't even have to go and find Michael. He slid into your DMs.
He slid into my DMs.
He came to you.
He came to me. He came to me. And it was on the most randomest day ever. I'd just finished chatting to one of my mates, and I was like to them, you know, maybe, you know, someone's going to pop up or whatever. I'm not going to meet them in the supermarket. No one meets their love of their life in the supermarket these days, but it might happen. And then I went home that night and saw his message request on my Instagram, and I was like, hello.
Did you know who he was? Had you met it? No.
I kind of was aware of this rowing peer being the next Hamish and Eric. And so I was aware of that story, but I didn't know who he was. And so it was quite refreshing meeting someone who was not in a rugby environment. It was just a breath of fresh air. And yeah, he was what I needed. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, what was the slogan you wrote on game days? Strike hard?
Strike hard, work hard, tackle hard.
And Strike Hard is the name of the kids' book that you
did. It is, yes.
I went around. Where do you buy it? Do you have to buy it online?
Oh, it's online, yeah.
Right.
It's not in stores. So yeah, buy it online through the Reading Warrior website. But yeah, David Riley is the author, and he just messaged me on Instagram, and because he's done one for Stacey as well. And he said, I would love to. I was like, and I would love to as well. So
it's the coolest thing.
It is very cool. Yeah, I have to remind myself that it is actually a really cool thing to talk about your childhood the way that I have in this book. And I think the purpose of it for me was to talk about who I am from my childhood. I have a very normal childhood. I grew up on a farm. I loved exercise. I loved sport. I loved winning. I hated losing. And I just had this huge dream of wanting to go to the Olympic Games. There is nothing traumatic or like an epiphany or whatever. Like, it was just a normal childhood that led to me achieving my goals. But coming from a very small village of Lepperton, where there's, you know, when I went to primary school, there were only about 90 of us at the primary school. Now it's a little bit bigger. You know, it's hard as a country kid to think big and to dream big. But I just didn't let that fear me. I was like, nah, I'm gonna dream huge. And I had teachers at high school tell me that it was unrealistic. And so I haven't seen that teacher yet, but the day I do, mate,
who is it? Name and shame.
I wish I could. Let's call her Karen for now.
Yeah, in hindsight, like, do you think they were just sort of like managing expectations, or do you think
I think teachers being teachers, like, you've got to go to university and you've got to have a degree.
Conventional route.
Yeah. Like, but for me, like, I absolutely knew from the moment that I could walk that sport was going to be my career in some way, shape or form. And I made that happen. That's it. I made it happen.
I was going to ask you if you're proud of yourself. I asked it to a lot of my guests, but I think I know the answer.
Yep, I'm proud of myself. I also have to remind myself where I've come from, and how much hard work I've put into getting to this point in my career. I'm proud of myself because little 16-year-old Michaela did not think that it was achievable. Little 16-year-old Michaela didn't think that she had the potential or the ability to win World Rugby Women's Sevens Player of the Year twice. She definitely didn't think she was going to get 2 golds at the Olympic Games. She had the dream of it, and she was doing everything that she can to help it, to make it happen. But you have these dreams, and it's kind of like a weird feeling when it happens, and then it's almost like this awkward, weird feeling at the back of your mind that it never will happen. But it's still something to obviously strive for. But yeah, when it did happen in Tokyo, I was like, holy crap, like, I had this dream since I was 5, and now it's happened. So it is a very weird emotion, but I've done so many hard things to make it happen. It's been very rewarding, but moving away from my family, choosing to not go to my little niece's birthday parties, putting, all the way down to choosing what I eat, choosing to not drive home to the Naki because sitting in a car for 8 hours, obviously 4 hours there and back, is hard on my back. And so making sure that I was 100% ready to train at my best physical status on a Monday. Like, there's so many things that I've had to say no to because this was more important at the time. So now
it's a trade-off. It's a very expensive price, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And unless you're an athlete yourself, it can be very hard to understand. But when you have a duty of representing your country and competing at the biggest sporting event in the world, you've got to take it seriously. And I'm someone that takes my job very, very seriously. And I'm also extremely proud to have this job as well. So I will absolutely put my all into everything that I can do to do this sport and this job proudly.
That's so cool. And last question. What 3 words would you like people to describe you? Say it's the day of your funeral, and everyone's standing around, and there's 3 words that sort of get thrown around that describe the life that you've led.
Passionately, just a passionate person who will, give their all. That's not 3 words, but passionate, loving. I'm a very loving person. I love hard, so loving. Gosh, a third one. Passionate, loving, loyal. And I say loyal because whether it's a relationship or a job or an opportunity, I will be loyal to it and give you wholeheartedly Michaela Blyde. Not Minnie. I will wholeheartedly give you Michaela Blyde.
What's the difference between Michaela Blyde and Minnie?
Minnie has an RBF. And
what's an RBF?
Resting bitch face. Minnie also looks at her opposition on the field and goes, I'm going to destroy you. And Minnie also has no mercy for anyone. So she can be quite scary and not a very remorseful person. She's there to absolutely destroy their opposition and win everything. So that's Minnie. But yeah, Michaela is someone who loves to be personable and be able to talk to people as human beings. I think a lot of people are aware of me as a rugby player, so, I love talking to people about who I am outside of that. I love talking to others about who they are. I'm so fascinated with other people outside of rugby. Like, the other day when I met up with Brodie, I met 2 of her mates who work for The Rock and The Breeze, and I was just so fascinated because I was like, wow, like, you work in media works. That is so cool. But to them, they're just like, it's just my job. But I'm like, nah, like, my job's very repetitive and I love it so much. I love routine, but I also am so isolated as rugby players. We just meet rugby and we're always rugby and we're always talking about it. But when I meet other people outside of it, I'm just so invested in their life. Like, I find it so cool. I walked through the staff office and I was like, this is cool. Like, hi guys. There's like 50 computers everywhere. Like, their job, they looked really sad. But I was like, hi, like, this is epic. It's an office.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's so lame.
I know, it's so lame, but I love it. I love hearing about other people and what they do and who they are, rather than just like their job. You know, I think it's very cool how we all have a different purpose on this earth. And right now, mine is rugby, and other people have other purposes, whether it's in media or in the police or teaching or whatever. So I love hearing about it. I love hearing about other people as human beings.
Well, play your cards right. When you retire from rugby, maybe you can get a job at Stuff.
Maybe.
Oh, I've got a computer.
I have a wheelie chair. Whee.
Oh, stationery. Oh, hey, Michaela Blyde, this has been you're just a breath of fresh air.
Oh, thanks.
I've been so excited about this, and it hasn't disappointed.
Same.
It's been wonderful.
No, I appreciate it. I've seen who you talk to, Dom, and I see how you connect with people. And I think it's such a powerful, powerful thing to be able to do. Not a lot of people can be personable and just talk to humans, but I think you do that really, really well. And so when I saw your email, I was like, oh my God, yes, because I know you'll talk to me as a human being. And I've been on so many podcasts where we talk about rugby, and obviously that's who I am. It defines a lot about me. But I'm also an auntie, I'm a partner, I'm a dog mum, like, I'm so much more outside of rugby, and so I want people to be able to see that we are very normal people outside of our job.
Oh, you are. Oh, there's so much stuff that we didn't even talk about. We
I
didn't
know.
talk about you having a diploma in dog psychology.
Yeah.
Or your love of Shortland Street.
Yeah, no, I haven't had a love of Shortland Street for a little bit now, unfortunately. But yeah, I was obsessed with it when I moved away from home. Butter chicken, like,
butter chicken. Yeah, when you left home, you ate butter chicken like every night for 2 weeks or something.
And I had like a tub of ice cream. What's it, like 2 litres? A litre?
Yeah, the tip-top stuff.
Yeah, I would get through that in 2 days. Yeah, because I was just so homesick. But moving away from home, I don't know how uni students do it, because I struggled when I was 19. Like, how do 17, 18-year-olds do it? Like, stuff that. It was hard. So, yeah, food was like my comforting thing, and it was Patak's butter chicken and tip-top ice cream.
Well, this has been great. This is one of my favourite podcasts I've ever done, I think. There's so many cool messages in here and so many takeaways.
Thank you.
And, thank you so much for everything you've done for the country at great sacrifice. And I'm sure whatever the next chapter is of the Michaela break story.
Yeah. Woo. I literally only changed 3 letters of my last name. It's great. It's so easy. Yeah.
1 syllable, B word.
Yeah, and both of our names are almost exactly the same. He's just 1 letter less, so it's going to confuse so many people, and I can't wait.
Yeah. Well, I can't see what's next, because whatever you do, I'm sure you're going to, give it everything you've got and be awesome at it.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm someone who is either all in or not in at all. So whatever it looks like, I'm very excited for it, and I will wholeheartedly give everything of Michaela Blyde to it. So it's very exciting.
Thanks so much for being a guest.
Thank you. I loved it.